And I think everyone is muted except for Celeste. Yeah, okay. So we're going to start off by saying our Girl Scout promise and law. So we'll start off with the promise, and then we'll move on. So you can stand up or sit down, whatever you want. I'm gonna sit down for the camera, but we'll go ahead and say that. So on my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. And now we will move on to the Girl Scout law. Okay. I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. Awesome. Thank you all for joining me with that. So today we are going to be covering all of the steps for this badge, which is super exciting. So some of the steps you will need to, oh my gosh, Sawyer and I are wearing the same exact shirt, except mine's pink. And she's in DC, which is quite funny. Here, let me show you my shirt. I'm kind of excited about this. Very cool, Sawyer. Awesome.
I visit Atlanta sometimes for my family, so I do some events down here.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Yeah. Okay. So some of the steps, we're going to cover all of them today, but what we're making is going to take a bit more time, so you might have to finish them later. So by the end of this, you will know the basics of textile art. I would say like mostly the basic stitches, or some basic stitches, Celeste, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you will have a fantastic project to show off, so that's pretty exciting. So Celeste is, like I said, is from Redux Contemporary Art Studio, and she's going to talk about, I guess, some of these some of the projects that she's done. And also, questions, we can unmute you, or you can type it in the Zoom if you don't want to be in the Zoom chat if you don't want to be unmuted. So go ahead, Celeste, if you want to just explain some of these.
Okay, yeah. So I went to college and studied painting, actually, and then I took a class in fiber collage, and I learned just some stitching, and I had a teacher that taught that stitching was really just like drawing, where you can make whatever marks you want, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional format which you normally learn it. So I just got interested in that, and then I took a mixed media class, so I started thinking about just using stitching in my drawings and using it on paper just to add something more interesting. So I kind of made up my own stitches, and also learned different ones as I needed them. So these are just two pieces that were mixed media, and I started experimenting with embroidery. And so you can see, like in the chair piece, I, on the bottom leg of the chair, there's a running stitch, which is kind of a normal type of stitch that you learn in embroidery. But then like on the side peg of the chair, I sort of made up that area.
Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Okay. So these are also mixed media, right?
Yeah, so the bottom left one is I used drawing, watercolor, and then you can see in the top left corner I started using a little piece of fabric there with an embroidery that I had started but I didn't really like, so I sort of incorporated it into this collage. And sewing on paper is actually really fun, really easy. Then in the middle one, I actually used a method called encaustic, which is melting hot wax. And I tried, it's basically painting with wax. And I decided that I was going to stitch on that too. And that worked pretty well. And then you can see in the bottom right, that is actually what I'm working on right now. So sorry that it doesn't look completely put together here, but it is a big quilt that I'm doing, but I'm using all fabrics that people have donated to me, and kind of doing a sort of free form quilt there with recycled fabrics, which has been really, really fun. So like starting to use fabrics to kind of like mix different patterns and things like that is something I encourage you guys to all try because it's really fun. And then as far as the tools that we're going to be using today that I use a lot, is that something good to go over right now?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So an embroidery needle, can't really see it because it's so small, but really just a needle that is big enough to fit your embroidery thread, which typically looks like this. And you can use, like, there's so many colors out there. It's really fun to go and pick the colors. It's one of my favorite things. And then also we're going to be using felt today. So I have some yellow felt here, but you can use whatever color you'd like. Then I have one of these guides, which is just like a water soluble marker that kind of trace out your design first before you stitch it, which I think is really helpful, but if you don't have it, it's okay. And then just some fabric scissors. A good tip is try to only use these with your fabric so the scissors don't get dull, because sometimes it is really hard to cut with just regular scissors. And then you'll also want just something to sew your new patch on. So these are some shorts that I did that I'll show you guys later, but I sewed my patch onto a pair of shorts. And then as far as the works down here, I was kind of using the same methods of fabrics that people donated to me and reusing them in a new way. So the bottom left one, I ended up putting the sleeves of my old sweater on this, just using really basic stitches and just cutting out shapes. And then sort of the same goes for the apron down here. So that's a new project that I've been working on, is making aprons kind of as a testament to the fact that lots of times, at least for me, when I see an apron, I think of like maybe a woman in the kitchen. That's a little bit upsetting to me because women do a lot of cool things. They build sculptures with their aprons. They do all kinds of things. And we're capable of using every tool that a man is. So I'm kind of trying to encourage the fact of how powerful women are and how we can do anything with my little aprons here.
That's really cool. I like that message.
Thank you.
You can, you can raise your hand, or you can also just unmute yourself. All right, I think we're good. So we're just going to go on. So like we already discussed the what you'll need today. So we're just gonna, this is actually the last slide. So we're just gonna leave it here so you can see what we're using. Does anyone actually have all these items? You can, yes, okay, I see Evelyn shaking her head. Okay, well, if you wanna go ahead and start, Celeste, that'd be great.
Oh, start the project? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine.
So I'll start off with showing you guys this. So I have a little sample of just different stitches that I did on this piece of felt here that you'll be able to use in your project. So I'm going to quickly go over just how to do some of those different stitches because then I want to give you the freedom to use different stitches in your patch, which what we're going to be doing is doing a first initial, so just a letter you can do for your name or for someone that you want to give it to. And it's going to end up looking like this is what mine looks like. So I used a running stitch in this one to make an O, and I used some different colors there. But this one you can see I used some, I'm going to start it, but I used different stitches here to kind of, I'm going to fill in the letter on this one to make it a bit more bold. So you could do kind of whatever style you like best. So I'm just going to thread this needle. So you just need to take your thread. I just cut kind of this long of a piece, but however long you want. And I'm going to knot the bottom. And then sometimes I kind of have to like lick the top of this to get it to go in my needle. So yeah, then you just stick the needle right through. Okay. So this one right here is the one I've been referencing as a running stitch. It's one that I like. It sort of just looks like a dashed line and it's really simple. So all you want to do is thread your needle from the back of your felt. And this is kind of just a practice one if you want to go along with me or if you just want to watch it too. That's totally cool. So you're just going to pull it out the front and then go back in. So then you're pulling it through the back again. And then you'll just take a little space. You know, if you want it to be really even, pay a little bit more attention. Right now, mine might look a little bit sloppy, but that's okay too. It's just another look. So then you just go through the back again, leaving a little bit of space there, and then go back. So that's really it for that one. It's super simple. So you could use that to do your whole letter if you wanted, or maybe just part of it. Then this one right here is called a back stitch. Is what I use to kind of outline my letter in this one. So it's nice, it gives you a continuous line. Like if you just want like an outline basically, works awesome for that. So start this one here. So once again, you just, I'm using the same piece of thread, but if you wanted to knot it off and then rethread to make a new clean line, you can do that. So this one, I'm just gonna come back up again and make one normal stitch the same way I did with the running stitch. So just go right back in. And then what you do is, so you come up from the back about the interval that you want the end of your second stitch to start. So you come up there, and then you want your needle to go back in the end of that first stitch. So use the same hole that you've already used to just have a continuous line. So I'll do one more here. Ta-da! Okay, and then the last one I'll go over right now is called a satin stitch. So it's good for filling in. So I am going to use it right here to fill in my letter. It does take a little bit longer. So this one, you know, you might have to dedicate a bit more time to it, but it looks really nice and finished. So gonna start off the stitch the same way we have been. This time I'll just make a vertical stitch. Okay, and then all you do is just you make another stitch right next to it. So I just come up right next to where I started it. And then come down and try to end your stitch right next to where the other one ended. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do. So I'll do one more. And then once again, just try and end right next. So you just want lines really close together, basically. That's where that one's gonna go in. Okay, so that's what we'll go over for right now. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask me or you can email me later. Also, if you find yourself like it's a bit, you're not really understanding the way I did it, there's a bunch of YouTube videos and things like that that'll go over it again and might do more sample stitches. Okay, so then to start off your patch, you really just want to cut out a piece of your felt. So however big you want to make it or however small. This one I would say is about maybe like 4 by 5 inches there. So just cut it out with your fabric scissors. And then I took my little special fabric marker here and I just went out and I'm doing a Z right now. So I just went ahead, let's see. So I just went ahead and drew it out and I'm just kind of gonna do a basic Z for this one, but if you want to add any type of style to it, go for it. I mean, you could even do an outline around it, do stripes, you know, whatever you want. Okay, so thread my needle with the new color and I'll do a little bit of this one just to kind of show you guys how I'm starting it off. So I chose this pretty emerald green. And then, yeah, all I do is kind of make a loop and then put it through just like a normal knot. And it's okay if you have a little bit of a tail there, you'll just cut it off later. Sometimes too, if the top of my string isn't even, I'll just use the scissors to cut it off so it's easier to thread. Okay, so this is my Z. So I'm just gonna do a couple of back stitches on the outline while we're here, and then I'll do a few of my satin stitches, and then I'll just go ahead and show you guys the next steps because I don't want to make it super boring and you just watching me sew in silence. So there I start just doing a normal, oh, my needle's in the wrong place. Doing just a normal stitch in and out, then pull that through. And then I'm gonna come up just a little bit away from where that stitch ended. pull that through again. And then I want my stitch to go back in where the first one ended. So I'll just do a few more of those. Okay. So I'm going to tie this off. And I just try and pull the knot as close to the felt as I can. But if it's not super, super tight, it's okay. It's not a big deal. And so then I just use my scissors to cut after the knot, basically as close as I can, just because sometimes if you keep sewing, that tail is going to get caught in your later stitches, which is just a little bit annoying.
I agree on that one. That's happened to me plenty of times.
Yes, it's super annoying. Like, it's once you do it, you're like, oh my God, I should have thought of that. Okay. So I'm just going to do a few of these satin stitches, and then we're going to move on to the next step. So yeah, maybe you guys can think about if there's anything you want to put a patch on. I made one for my friend, so I asked her what she wanted it on, and she said her shorts that I have to hem for her. So that was fun, but you could also do, I think maybe this other one my friend might put on their backpack or lunchbox, or really any clothing that you might have that you want to put it on. I put some on, I have a denim jacket that I put some on. Or you can just give it to someone and ask them what they might want it on. Okay, so I got this all threaded again. So I am just gonna try and come up as close to that. I wasn't that close. So pretty close to that kind of already vertical stitches that I had. And just start it off. I mean, it's really simple. You're actually just going up and down with it. Just trying to create parallel lines there. Some people will even kind of space their stitches out and then fill them in, which makes them more evenly spaced and makes it look a little bit better. But I guess I'm not so much of a perfectionist with this, but y'all can do whatever you like. Okay, so I just did another up and down one, and then voila, I'll knot it off again and we'll move on. So this is something great that you can do too when you're just like chilling at home. Once you get a hang of it, you probably won't need like complete silence and everything. It's a good activity to do even kind of if like you can do something else while you're doing it if you want to.
Like watching TV.
Yeah, like watching TV. Personally, I've watched a lot of like couple love shows while doing this. Okay, so there we are. I know it's not finished, but I'll just go ahead and do the other steps with you guys. So first thing I'm gonna do is figure out, you know, I kind of cut this haphazardly just to start it off, but now I might cut it into a better shape that I want my final stitch to, or my final patch to be in, but you want to make sure to leave a good amount of space around your letter so that you can stitch it onto something. So this one I probably left about a 1/2 inch border around the O, just so you have space for those stitches and you're not gonna run into your letter. So this one, I think I'm just gonna do a rectangle. Or, it's kind of like a rounded rectangle. And then what you're gonna have to do, I don't have water right here, but that if you did use one of the water soluble, either kind of dampen it with some water, or I just put mine right under the sink because your stitches will be fine. It's just gonna take a bit longer to dry out. But you can just put it right under the sink and gently rub, and the marker will come off if you did use one of those. If not, then you don't need to worry about it. All righty. So for us right now, I'm just gonna sew it onto another piece of fabric that I have. So I'll just cut out a big piece. And like, I do encourage you guys that if you decide that you want to with anything like this, just maybe ask friends and family if they have any extra fabrics that they haven't been using, because I've been really surprised by saying I've been telling people I'm working on some fabric projects, and they've been like, oh, I have this random fabric, do you want it? And it's really cool because you get stuff that you maybe wouldn't have picked out yourself, or that is older. It's fun. So I'm just going to sew it onto this little scrap to show you how I'm going to sew it on. So here's my Z. Pretend that it's finished. So you can either just hold it and you should be fine, or if you do have a pin or even a safety pin, that might help you, just because then you don't have to worry about it moving. So I'm just gonna put it through the back and then come up. Probably just use one pin, that's enough for what I'm doing right now. And then, so you can choose whatever color you want. On my shorts, I tried to match the fabric of the shorts just because I wanted it to blend in a little bit better and like the stitches not to be so visible, but you can also use a fun color to make your stitches pop on the edges. So the stitch that I'm going to do here is the one that I haven't taught you guys yet. It's called a slip stitch, but really, like, you'll notice the stitches really aren't all that different. They're just really tiny variations in the different stitches. Okay, got my needle threaded here. So what I'm going to do is come up a little bit about that close on the edge of the felt. You can go in deeper, like farther in on your felt if you want. You're just going to have a bigger stitch. So then you're going to just come up, pull that knot through the first time, and then with a slip stitch, what you kind of do is you just make diagonal lines. So here, let's see. So you just want to make a diagonal line from your felt and then end it on your other fabric so that you're attaching the two. Sorry, trying to let you guys see this here. So there we are. It's kind of diagonal there. Pull that through. We'll be able to see what it looks like. I'll do a few more. So in the other one that I did, I didn't space my stitches too terribly apart, too terribly far apart. Some people like to really cover completely the edges of their patch just to get like that real finished edge there, which does look cool. So if you have time, maybe do that. But if not, since it's felt, it's not gonna fray. So you spaced and you'll be fine. It's not gonna fall off. So I'm just gonna show you guys in a sec once I've got this going. Mine aren't looking perfect since I'm kind of in a rush. You guys can probably do better ones than this. But so you'll see I'm coming up in the felt and then ending my stitch going on the edge of the blue fabric. So it's really just attaching the two and then you'll go all the way around. What I did on my O is I went all the way around and then I went around once more just to get enough stitching on there where I felt it was secure. I put it on my pocket there because I thought it was cute. But then once you finish that, you're just gonna have to knot it off and you're done. That's really it.
Awesome. That's very, very cool. Does anyone have any questions or any ideas for patches that they might want to do? Or what are you working on, Evelyn?
Oh, that's awesome. I like the heart.
Is this video being recorded?
Within that video, or within that email, we're going to...
Is this Zoom call going to be posted?
I'm sorry?
Is this Zoom call going to be recorded and posted?
Yes.
Yeah. And you guys, if Ashley wants to, feel free to include my email. And if you guys have questions, just send me an email and I'll do my best to answer it. But like I said, the stitch names, if you just put them into YouTube, you can find extra tutorials if it's hard to see the way that I did mine.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Celeste, for coming on today. I know that you did a lot of prep work for this and we greatly appreciate it. And once again, we said with Sawyer that yes, this will be posted. We're going to send it out in an email as well. It will be on our website. It's going to be everywhere. So you'll be able to see it again. And I guess, yeah, that's it. So thank you all again for joining. Is there anything?
Thank you guys.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So we're going to end this now and just thank you all so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.